Welcome back to the World Championship Series Premier League round of 32 for Season 1 in 2015. It's been a terrific 4 days of StarCraft II action here in Europe. We already had 2 days of fantastic action over in America as well, and we'll end the same way. Next week, of course, the last 2 groups play out in our Burbank studio, so make sure you're tuned in for that. But tonight we still have 2 more games to go. Stefano and Kalaris are back with me at the desk. And this one is a biggie for many reasons. Serral in his first opportunity to get into the round of 16 for the Premier League. NaNiwa returning, and they go head-to-head. James, what do you think?
Huge contrast, really. If you think about who the 2 players really are, NaNiwa is a guy who's accomplished pretty much everything that a non-Korean has been able to do in StarCraft II. And then you've got Serral, who really, to be honest, hasn't really accomplished anything. So, but this is a prime chance for Serral to prove himself against one of the old guard. So this is a very, very interesting match.
Yeah, when you play younger players, next generation players, if you like, are you kind of worried? And you're like, oh, I've got to be careful because these youngsters...
You are, because you have a reputation to take care of, and you go to, I guess, a guy who didn't do anything against anyone, and if you lose against him, it's kind of a shame. You feel really bad. You feel... you just want to hide yourself when you lose against a newcomer. And NaNiwa has nothing to prove, but Serral has everything to do now, so a lot of pressure on Serral and NaNiwa as well, because if he loses, really bad.
Yeah, sure. I mean, we talk about Serral as a newcomer, but he's not really a newcomer. He's been around for a while, even though he's so young. So, although this is his first real big chance on the big stage, he's got lots of tournament experience. So, I doubt he's going to be that nervous. He's not that worried about reputations in this game, is he?
Yeah, I don't think so much. I think for someone who comes to the upper echelons of tournaments as a newcomer here into the Premier League and then going up against someone like NaNiwa, maybe nerves really do take effect here. Maybe not so much in his previous series against a player like Suppi, who, no offense, hasn't accomplished as much as NaNiwa, but it is NaNiwa here that we're talking about. So.
And Serral, though, again, on ladder, is a scary player to play against. I've talked to a lot of the top pros that ladder constantly, and they always say if they come across him, they're always a bit like, oh no, it's a very dangerous player to play against.
Yeah, he's actually not only really good as Zerg, he's actually good as the other races as well. I think he's in Grandmasters with the other races as well.
Helps having his brother around as well.
Yeah, Protosser being a Zerg.
Yes, but I mean, in terms of practice, and you know,
that helps
they can mess around with other races and stuff like that. Let me be clear about that. It's always a fun name to have as a Zerg as well.
It was one of the most confusing things ever for a while, but yeah.
And Stefano, NaNiwa played fantastically well in the first game. How did you rate him over the 3 maps?
Honestly, the first match against the Protoss he had, I didn't feel like he did something particularly good. I think just threw up the game by doing mistakes, and the last game he was winning it and he did a mistake. But NaNiwa did play well, but not as well as expected, sadly.
Well, as well as he used to, or as well as you would have expected?
No, expected. Used to, maybe not, but expected. Like, I thought his comeback would be something like really, really strong. He comes and he crushes everybody. That's how I would like to do a comeback, honestly.
How you would like it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
There we go. Confirmed comeback already from Stefano.
If you say Serral plays like every race, that's really impressive. It means like he knows basically how Protoss is being played, and he can adjust to that, and that's really, really useful. I can't play any other races, and like I'm impressed. Yeah.
Yeah, me too. I can't play any of the races.
Like 0 races, you mean, right?
Neutral race, it's fine.
Do well at the menu screen, it's fine.
I'm brilliant on the menu. Shimmy, click through. My microphone, brilliant. Prediction time. Very tricky, this one, because you've got a dangerous Zerg, young player who's got nothing to lose. You go into this with full confidence, knowing he played really well in game 1, against a player who has, as you said, been there and done it all. Which way do you go? Experience or youth?
It's really tough. Do you give the tip of the hat to NaNiwa when all the hype is around him, or do you give the tip of the hat to a player that is on the rise? Very much so, I feel. I think it's going to be a close series, and let's go with the young one. Let's go with Serral, whatever.
Okay.
I confirm Serral. He impressed me, and I think he can still keep doing well. He doesn't seem too worried playing against NaNiwa or other games. He just looks really calm and good.
Yeah, okay, all right. Reminds you of yourself a few years ago?
Absolutely. Actually, yes. Like, it's not a lie, but he does. I have faith in him. And people are saying he's next Stefano. He doesn't like it because I'm Swarmhost player and stuff. But I think he can achieve great things.
Okay, thank you very much, gents. Head over to the commentary desk now, where we have Todd and Apollo waiting to bring you action from game number 4. A chance for one of these two players to advance to the round of 16. It's NaNiwa versus Serral.
Thank you very much, Red Eye. I am very excited for this series. We've seen NaNiwa over the years against many different Zerg players. I'd like to think over the years some of his biggest victories have been against Zerg players.
Yeah, I think so too. It's funny, earlier I said that NaNiwa, you know, he's always been very comfortable when playing against Zerg. It's true there's been a few matches here and there where he's complained, especially in Wings of Liberty, but overall, I think lifetime, his favorite matchup by far is his PvZ. I just talked with him a little bit and he confirmed that to me, that is currently his favorite matchup still. And I guess it's good for him that he meets somebody like Serral here in the winner's match, because even though Serral's very good, the fact that NaNiwa is the most confident in PvZ is going to give him a good opportunity to possibly advance here from that group. And he has a lot of experience, more I feel than his opponent too. Like Serral, even though he's been around for some time, he's someone who's been mostly to tournaments in Europe. NaNiwa has been everywhere. He's played tournaments in Korea, in America. He's won some of them. He's beat crazy good Zergs in the world ranking for the longest time.
Serral, though, is such a good player. He's highly ranked on the European ladder, Grandmaster. He's feared by a lot of other professionals in the scene as an up-and-coming talent, just 16 years of age. No real result to his name, but he's an absolute online beast. But as you said, NaNiwa is his favorite matchup. He's had, just think back to NaNiwa's history and the big games that you at home have watched him play. You've got the Jaedong series and the multiple times you met him. You had the Leenox series. You've had the Life series. Many different players he's been able to beat throughout the years. And he obviously isn't at that level currently, because we're only in the round of 32 and it's not a massive stage of a tournament yet. But let's see how this one's going to shape up. Serral started the day incredibly well, though. Very clean, minimal mistakes. And as Stefano said a little bit earlier on, he was very impressed that in game number 1, Serral looked at it and said, okay, this is the best way to deal with it, like in an instant. And then coming into game number 2, he said, okay, I'm playing against the same thing. Let me completely destroy what you tried. Yeah,
those games are actually pretty impressive, definitely. The thing is, he's a little bit predictable, I would say, Serral. Even though, I guess he doesn't play Swarmos too much, which is definitely going to be a good news for NaNiwa, because I don't think he's a big fan of facing them. Serral, he has that main go-to style where he goes into 3 bases, Roaches, Hydralisks, then adds Vipers. And from there, he loves to transition out of this a lot with, say, for example, Mutas. He keeps his upgrades going. He sees what he's up against, and then he decides. And that makes him a very good Zerg at transitioning, which is very different than most other Zergs. I guess if I would have to compare him with someone, it'd probably be like a Life, but without the aggression early on. Life is very aggressive, even though Life is always transitioning himself from other things than just links and run-bys. He likes to transition a lot here and there, sometimes Hydralisk, add anything really, Mutas or Vipers later on, whereas Serral is a lot more passive overall, I would say.
Well, let's talk a little bit about NaNiwa then and his approach to playing against Zerg player. It's very active, it's very control-focused, it's about harassment and pressure, and forcing mistakes a lot of the time with simple gateway units and immaculate unit control. Is this type of playstyle going to be able to trigger his opponent to make mistakes, especially on such a stage like this, to over-drone, or not necessarily over-drone, but to over-commit to units too heavily, as NaNiwa is liking to be out in the open so easily?
It really depends on how aggressive exactly he wants to play, because NaNiwa played a series against Nurcho where the decisions seem really clear as to what he had to do. Like, for example, when they played on Foxtrot and Nurture went for the gold base in their challenger match, it's pretty clear that you can't sit back and do nothing about it. So NaNiwa moved out, he hit some good force fields, he reinforced a lot, he did a bunch of damage before later on, going for more strong and powerful attacks to basically finally seal the deal later on in the game. Against somebody like Serral, who loves to play a lot more standard, doesn't really take gold bases usually, it's going to be harder to find a hole in the defense to try and do some damage or even force a lot of units without committing to a fight. So I feel like for NaNiwa to play this well, he has to go maybe into a safe play, 3 bases, get a good economy, and then go into a lot of Blinkstalkers, and then from there decide whether he wants to attack or transition into anything. But if he plays too passive, then it's going to be very hard to win against a Serral who, again, maxes out on Roach Hydra Viper a lot of the time and then do those massive transitions. He gets exactly enough static defense where he needs to get it. And it's just very hard to face this guy. He loves that style. It's his main go-to style. Do those big muta transitions every single time. He actually had some very, very good games against Harstem where he kind of dominated, I would say, where he did that.
Okay, well, it's going to be cool to see, and this is the worst thing I want to tell you right now, because I know a lot of you are very eager to watch this, but the game isn't quite ready yet. NaNiwa and Serral do need a couple of extra moments, so before we get into that, we are going to jump to a very, very quick break, but do not go anywhere. NaNiwa versus Serral in the winners match is just around the corner. Welcome back, everybody, here to the World Championship Series Group F in the Premier League. We have the winners match now pretty much ready for you. It's going to be NaNiwa versus Serral. We talked about it just a little bit before we went to that break, then we had to go to it, but we are back. The first map is going to be Overgrowth. We can take a closer look at the map order in a little bit here. But excitement is starting to build here, not just in the studio that we have all the fans present, but between the players, between the casters, between the online audience that are watching live or talking with a bunch of people on the internet or at home. Here is the map order. Overgrowth number 1, Deadwing number 2, and Vanni Research Station number 3. And there are the map vetoes as well, Todd.
Yeah, Overgrowth is actually a map on which NaNiwa had the very disappointing start to his series against Nurcho. He actually lost that one. That was the only map that he lost. Whereas Serral, he had a very impressive first map up against Harstem. So if you take that in consideration, NaNiwa is going to have to play a lot better this time around against a Serral who's probably better in general right now in the matchup than Nurcho.
Well, NaNiwa's headset now on. Serral ready and waiting. The winner of this goes through in first place. They grab themselves an extra bit of dollar, as currently they have earned themselves a minimum of $4,500 just by competing today. It goes up to a minimum of $6,000 going through to the round of 16 and beyond, and continues to increase. And of course, the all-important WCS points in the system that starts to gather very early on this year. But none of that matters to either of them right now, as it's all about first place, because we still have Haas, who is a dangerous player, waiting to play the loser of this series. It is time. No more waiting, no more jabbering, no more nonsense. NaNiwa fights against Serral for first place in Group F, a best of 3 starting on Overgrowth. Up here to the top right hand side, the 16-year-old from Finland playing for My Insanity. It is Serral, and it is intense in here now. Down here to the bottom left hand side, it is the player you've loved or hated over the last couple of years, is the blue Protoss player from Sweden. It's NaNiwa. And let's see how his Protoss versus Zerg is doing today.
Taking a sip here.
Getting those wings ready.
It's still early in the game, so it's okay. But yeah, NaNiwa, he's somebody who, for the longest time, no matter what the matchup, but probably even more so against Zerg, has, I would say, 1 to 2 openers that he likes the most on each map. And, you know, it's always changed. Back in the Wings of Liberty days, for the longest time, it was, you know, the one gateway with double cast, Sentry expansion. But nowadays, it's a lot more about, you know, going for Nexus first into gateway. That's one of the stronger builds that you can go for up against the Zerg, in particular like the Serral, who rushes very, very rarely.
Well, 15 spawn and pull is the choice from Serral, and it is going to be that Nexus first from NaNiwa.
I like this choice here by NaNiwa to go for this in the first game, especially if he scouts after, which he's going to do. Should be a gateway inside of his main, following this up on 15, which again is very, very standard. Not too risky. There is only so few builds that this puts you in trouble against, like for example, you know, pull 8, pull 10, all those early pulls.
NaNiwa checking the Zelnoga tower to see if any Zerglings were on the way already. And now going to poke inside the court of Serral, his side of the map, going to go up towards that natural. See that later, Hatchery, and of course know that he is up against the spawn and pull, and we'll go in and check for that gas.
Serral's style, I feel, is way trickier in a way, even though he's, you know, it's fairly standard and I would say passive up to some extent. In comparison to the other, I would say more predictable Zergs, you know, that either go for all-ins or Swamos, just because there is very few people that actually play like that. That like to go, you know, for Roach, Hydra, Viper, be safe, and then later on do big transitions, usually into Mutas. And I have to say, his Muta transitions, they are so deadly. I talked about those possible transitions from I guess, you know, the games that we had played earlier, like yesterday, before yesterday, when we had Swamo situations. But I would say in those games, it's not as realistic as it will be now with a Serral that plays with a very expendable army and a very replaceable one. We actually already saw him today do a massive muta transition in his game against Soppy on Expedition Lost.
Well, Zergling's inside the main base here, being chased down by a Zealot. Earlier on, we did see gas being taken as soon as the probe left inside Serral's base. Likewise, NaNiwa had the probe on the Xel'Naga town, is now swung around to check if that third base is there. Pretty decent probe control so far. Yeah,
but this right now is making NaNiwa delay a lot his warp gates. He hasn't even started a Sentry of Stalker as well. So he needs to fix that ASAP. If he forgets warp gate here, it's an absolute disaster of a situation. And he's still forgetting about it right now. NaNiwa, don't pull it out. That's my trademark build, the forgetting warp gates.
Still not working on that. Stargate has been thrown down, Sentry has started.
Ah, here we go.
Warp gate research third.
Spots the third base here from Serral, and with the late timing on that one, he already should know that there is speed on the way.
Yeah.
Without even scouting the gas from Serral. I wonder actually, like this feels old school, you know? Like you don't really see all that many Stargates anymore unless you watch Rain stream. He still loves either an Oracle or Phoenixes into the standard Colossus, into Blink, third base and all that play, but it's not really specific to NaNiwa to play standard with the Stargate. Usually when you see NaNiwa go Stargate, it's for that SOS style that he loves so much, you know, with the Void Race, the Charge Lost on the ground, the Templars later on in Archons. So we'll see if it evolves into that or not.
Well, it is going to be an Oracle, is the choice here by NaNiwa. He's made a bit of a wall. It's a funny wall at the front here. It's a forge and then double pylon and then a third pylon to be able to slot that Zealot in between the forge and the structure. And gases have been added on as well.
NaNiwa is not getting supply blocked anytime soon, I think we can
safely say.
Yes.
Roach Warren put down here for Serral. He's not too sure what he's up against yet. He obviously knows the build but doesn't know the follow-up, whether tech structure choice it is, and NaNiwa's favourite unit from a couple of years back. Void Ray coming out again against Zerg.
Oh, we could be seeing that SOS style with the multiple Stargates and the charge loss on the ground. And that Oracle very nicely went around, but now it's going to be spotted by one of the Overlords there.
And Spore Crawlers start immediately here.
And a quick third with this as well for NaNiwa.
Oh, drones evacuated there as well. Does not want to try and lose too many. Two
it's
queens.
The right move. Still no additional gateway or even a robo, by the way, by NaNiwa.
Yeah, and he's taken the third Nexus very early on, so he gets 4 drone kills there. Nexus is down, Void Ray's on the way to support this. Cannon in support as well.
Yeah, so that Void Ray, that when it comes out, he's going to clear out these Overlords. Actually, the first one's already out. The second one is already on the way. So yeah, NaNiwa, I was wondering if he might go for something like that. He was using that for a very, very long time. I remember some of his games up against Taga, for example, on Derelict Watcher, where he used that against Tefel. He played all these guys and did pretty well with it.
His Void Ray control is very good, let's just say that. Second and third Stargate coming in. There are 2 Overlords which are going to pick off very easily.
I just remembered, actually, even that one game when he played in New York against Life and Hyun, and there was this one game against Life on Belcher where he just wouldn't die, kept pulling back the Void Race up against the Nidus, lots of Queens and Hydralisk, which is definitely one of the better ways to play against this.
But Hydralisk Den is down, Evolution Chamber down, Roach Speed on its way. Serral starting to realize that NaNiwa has chosen this upon seeing the extra Stargates on the natural. He knows what he's up against, but how well equipped is he going to be? Clearly going for a Hydralisk timing towards his third base before the count of Void Rays becomes too large. We have creep spread down the right-hand side flank. Hydralisk Den finishing up.
Yeah, he's got 14 lavas right now, and he's not using any supplies, so could be definitely going for something like that, especially when he goes for groove spines the way he has.
Yeah, 7 Hydralisk, 3 Queens, all anti-air, including that +1 attack to assist all of these units. NaNiwa building 3 Void Rays at a time, but currently has 3 Void Rays out with a Mothership Core. Can recall if things get a little bit dangerous, but what is he aiming for?
We've seen NaNiwa in the past actually get overeager with the Void Race. Move too far out, get some of them sniped. Like if he was to lose the Mothership Core or even some Void Race here, it will be a disaster. He needs to keep those alive and with full shields and hit points, and he's going to do just that. The Oracle almost died, though.
Put down here by Serral in the production tab.
He remembers those games against Life.
All right, so he's going to try Nidus outside this third base and see how well this can work. We have the Fleet Beacon coming in for NaNiwa in the background, but I don't think that's going to play too much into this. He wants to go for that +2 attack, that Fleet Beacon, unlocking that upgrade, but he needs to defend this. But he doesn't even know it's happening yet.
I got a bad news for NaNiwa here. he's on one gateway and he threw down one fleet beacon, and he's only adding 2 more gateways. Usually when you go for this style as NaNiwa here, he used to do this with a lot of zealots and sentries to tank for in front of his units. But right now, I think he's bluffing, and he's going to get caught completely on his bluff.
Here we go. Serral, knowing what he's up against, has chosen an appropriate counter, and the NidaSwarm has been launched. NaNiwa has no idea until now. He's going to have to recall back immediately, and now he hears it, now he knows. How is he going to react to this? As the third base is going to be assaulted, there is 2 cannons, a third and a fourth coming in to defend it, a second NidaSwarm on its way. NaNiwa is going for the sniper the third, but it's not going to work, and he barely escapes there. He recalls all the way back to the Queens, and Hydros loses a Void Ray immediately. We have 3 carriers on the way, but more importantly, we have 100 Queens and 100 Hydralisks that are tearing down this Nexus to no end.
Yeah, they got quite a bit of energy as well. NaNiwa finally realized that there is no saving this base. He cannot fight anytime soon. He needs to wait for the 3 carriers to finish, in which case he thinks he has a chance to finally hold this.
Loses the mothership core, loses the Oracle. Easy pickups there by Serral, who is not slowing down anytime soon. He's continuing on, and I think anyone, even if you don't know StarCraft, can look at that and say that is a bloody lot of Zerg, and it is. And NaNiwa's in trouble.
I don't know how he holds this, really. Like, 3 carriers, not going to do much against this many Hydralisks plus Queens. They even have +1 missile attacks. Got quite a few transfuse to work with.
Couple of force fields to try and hold these units off, but that is a lot of Queens and a lot of Hydralisks with
actually
range.
Sick force fields.
Yeah, right on the edge, keeping the Hydralisks away.
He's getting more carriers. NaNiwa's not panicking. This truly is a new NaNiwa we're seeing here. He's so patient. I can't believe he's actually starting more carriers with this.
Well, we see 10 drones on the way for Serral. He's going to mine up to that gold base, going to keep NaNiwa on 2, starved of resources on 2. Would love to be able to work with a 5th and 6th gas, but he's going to try and defend here. 2, 3 Hydralisks go down pretty easily.
It's crazy to think that if Serral hadn't done that, I really feel like NaNiwa would have been in a great position, because nobody expects carriers here, and by the time you see it, a lot of the time it's going to be too late to adjust and do well.
Well, the adjustments are coming in for Serral upon seeing this. Spire, Hive, additional drones. But NaNiwa in a difficult position, stuck on 2 bases here.
He has preserved a lot of those units, actually. If he could get close to maxing out, even if Serral is on more economy, it will be a fair fight, I guess.
Still doesn't lose any units there, and manages to pick off quite a lot of those Hydralisks.
What's happening?
Pushes Serral back to the NidaSwarm here. That was 1 Void Ray very close to dying, but didn't.
So many Protosses would have died here. And I'm one of them, Apollo. He actually held on. I can't believe he's going to live through this attack. Just sack the 3rd base. He could just go and retake it, repower those gateways. He needs an Oracle, though, to reveal those Crypt Tumors.
Which is going to be a little bit frustrating here. Going to be a long time until he can take a new base, as he may have even been looking to take the one out in the open in the middle of the map here, but he's cleaned up all the NidaSwarms. There was a probe there looking to take that 3rd Nexus, maybe to the left-hand side, but NaNiwa holds on. 140 supply to 160 of Serral, who's added on more Queens, and now Vipers are coming into play. Currently sitting at 24 Hydralisks, 11 Queens, and now NaNiwa decides to morph the Mothership core into the true calling the Mothership, making these units invisible.
Against a lot of Void Rays, Infestors are great. The thing is, Serral's economies, even though, you know, it was left untouched pretty much the entire game, he expanded kind of slowly, so now he's only working towards getting a 5th only now, and he didn't have the gas to get that and Hydralisk. So instead of doing that, he just had on Vipers, and we saw Firecake do very, very well against any type of air unit with the Abducts and a lot of Hydralisks.
What do you think about NaNiwa not knowing what he's up against at all, whether it be the Infestors, whether it be Mass Queens, Hydralisks, Corruptors?
It's definitely not ideal, but it was forced just by the aggression of Serral and how much damage he did, and Serral's looking to hit a timing here, which is going to be very, very deadly.
Well, he's going to pick up that Pylon, Nexus, and Void Ray, and then back off. That's cancelled. NaNiwa goes back to 2 bases, and stuck on 150 supply. Blocked.
Ooh, those Hydralisks, but on right. Are they on strike like in Firecake's game? No. Are you looking to escape? No, just going to trade them for 1 sentry.
Queens now only +1 attack. +2 was delayed, if not forgotten about more precisely. But the Mothership is here. This is going to be a little bit annoying because there is no detection. There's no overseers here.
Yeah. Ooh, 1 Viper.
1 Viper low. Gets transfused. NaNiwa
he needs to go for the Mothership.
And have to try and hold again. The Mothership
no
gets brought forward, and it goes down pretty fast there. NaNiwa does take a few of those units down, but it is 180 supply. Another carry gets ripped into the middle here, and NaNiwa goes for the fight, but he goes right into all the Hydralisks and Queens, takes a lot of damage there to these units. And here we are going to have another assault down. This Queen just hardly dying there. So many transfuses coming into play. Serral continues the assault onto NaNiwa, who is dropping unit by unit slowly and slowly. But we see the carriers dealing a lot of damage, but Serral's income is so high across 5 bases, if not 6 now, with a new one taken to the middle of the map as NaNiwa struggles on 2, down to 117 supply. Serral once again playing excellently from the get-go.
NaNiwa took a massive risk in this game. He basically said, since I'm going 3 Stargates and Void Race, what will be the logical thing to add to this army? It will be a lot of Zealots and Sentries, against which a Nidus and Hydralisk I don't think would have done too well. So he took a chance, and Serral didn't seem to, I guess, overthink it. He was just like, well, I'm gonna try Nidus, see where that takes me. And in the end, it was the right move against a NaNiwa going into a fleet beacon and on 1 single gateway at a time.
And now it's time for the Corruptors to have a go at NaNiwa. Every unit taking its turn, from Zerglings to Queens to Hydralisks to the Corruptors. And now we're going to see if NaNiwa can hold on for the 4th time or so as the Corruptors go right in. And as good as Void Rays are against Corruptors, they back off, but they will go in again once this charge is off. NaNiwa's used the prismatic alignment on the Void Rays.
I really don't think he had to go back here. Serral's living the Zerg dream right now. He's on 6 spaces and 12 gases.
Another Void Ray gets shattered in the skies. There's Serral looking to take map number 1 here against NaNiwa. Goes in for the final fight. NaNiwa with almost nothing left. This is going to be the last stance here of the Swede against the Finn, as every single unit here of NaNiwa should be going down, and he does take game number 1. Serral at 1-0 in this best of 3, 1 game away from reaching his first ever round of 16 in the WCS Premier League.
Pretty surprised by NaNiwa's build here. This is definitely something you will see, on White Trash stream, but usually not in very important WCS games like this. Carriers, a very, very difficult unit to make work in StarCraft II, unless your name is SOS, and you do it in Katowice. I guess one of the best turns. Somehow it looks amazing. You very, very rarely see carriers, and when they are made, usually they are not met with success, and this was no different.
Serral, though, oh boy, if you didn't know about him today, you will after these games, because this guy is unbelievably good. We've noticed him a couple of years back at DreamHack. The one big game we talked about earlier was his match versus Supernova, where he almost beat him. It was a 2-1 win for Supernova, and that was in 2013, I think it was, 2 years ago. He's only 14 years old, and he was going toe-to-toe with a Korean pro gamer. And here we are, fast forward 2 years later, he's in the Premier League for the 2nd time in a row, and he's really starting to turn heads. Excellent performances earlier on against Suppi, and now leading 1-0 against the King in the North, NaNiwa. But we are going into game number 2. It's going to be Deadwing, a map that Protoss do favour against Zerg.
Well, with their Serral style, though, with liking to play safe, going up to 3 bases and all that, and going to transitions, surely I feel like this map is pretty good for him as well. He's definitely one of those Zergs that will be scared of that map, or even vetoing it. There's quite a few Zergs that dislike it. I don't think he's one of them at all.
Looking as serious as can be as we get ready for game number 2. We are loaded in. Let's begin to see which way this is going to go. Can the Swede tie it up, or are we going to see a 2-0 for the 16-year-old against NaNiwa? Up here to the top right-hand side, playing for Team My Insanity from Finland as the Red Zerg, it is Serral. Down here to the bottom left-hand side is the blue Protoss player from Sweden. It is the King in the North, it is NaNiwa, who is back in the Premier League after 12 months of pretty much inactivity from StarCraft II. He's back.
Yeah, and definitely didn't put all this practice in for nothing here. He wants to go further in the tournament. And it's going to open with a Gateway 13, actually, behind his mineral line. No Nexus first attempt on this map. Interesting already here out of NaNiwa to see this.
Why do you think he's chosen this?
Not sure, really. I feel like against Serral, Nexus first every time is pretty much the best thing that you can do. Maybe a double gas build like he did against Nurture, but it was against Nurture on Foxtrot, so I feel like it was only because of the map that he went for double gas. Maybe a bit of a sand build, you know, with the Gateway, Nexus, 4 Gateway pressure into either more aggression or an expansion.
Well, on the other side of things, Serral has gone hatch, gas, then we'll follow this up with his spawning pool. So he's opened up with a pretty fast second base, and then we'll get Zergling speed very early on in this game to start to take map control, to figure out what NaNiwa is up to, and kind of stop any probes, pylons, and loose units being running around the map.
NaNiwa's only manning gas with 1 probe here, so I guess he wants to start that Nexus very, very quickly, even quicker than if he was manning with 3, in which case you start the Mothership Core ASAP behind it, which now may be delayed a little bit. No, I guess he fixed that quickly. Is he not going to cancel the Zealot? Because he made that pretty early. Let's see.
It seemed like doesn't seem like a pretty defensive opening from NaNiwa. I mean, it's great if there was an early rush, but like you said, that's not kind of Serral's style.
Yeah. A little bit surprised. And he starts Warp Gate behind this. So maybe a massive aggression on top of that Nexus here. Because, yeah, he did start Warp Gate very, very quickly. Like usually here you start Mothership Core, then you start Warp Gate.
Unfortunately here for NaNiwa, he's going to scout to the top left and not find his opponent, and then his probe's automatically going to be in a very good position to hide itself, to place a pylon somewhere around the potential third base of Serral.
Yeah.
But Serral's building 10 Zerglings currently.
Yeah, and also if NaNiwa chooses to try for a scout, because you can't really anticipate a Zerg going for speed here.
Yeah.
His probe is gonna die, and then you will be in trouble. So it's really pretty much all or nothing in terms of getting fortunate or not. 3 more gates will go down as warp gates. He's at about halfway down, so...
And look at the probe. It's going to plant a pylon here. This is going to be the location that NaNiwa starts his Zealot production. 4 gateways in total.
This is weird, out of both players. Like, they both want to be aggressive. 10 links with speed here, they're definitely very unconventional.
Against a full wall-off here from NaNiwa, who's got 3 gateways and a Zealot in the plug.
Oh, he's moving out with the Zealot. Comes back for now.
Uh-oh. You got to be careful here. Zergling speed is only 10 seconds away from finishing. He lets 2 Zerglings in.
And the Zealot's going to be out of position. He's going to run in with the rest here. I don't think NaNiwa has time to block unless he throws down a pylon. But Serral's going to block that.
Yeah, Serral's going to stop this from happening. And all the Zerglings flood in here for NaNiwa, and he's in a lot of trouble. He builds a pylon to try to keep this alive, but he loses probes instantly. And like you said, both players being aggressive, but it is Serral who gets the better end of this. A force on the high ground, but not after losing 5 probes here, and also having his strategy revealed.
This is so bad for NaNiwa, especially since Serral only made a few links, and he's been able to achieve this much. Behind this, he drawn up nicely. For some reason, he just started 12 links. I guess he saw the pylon, so he wants to make sure he doesn't lose anything to it.
Yeah, he sees it. There's another pylon being built right next to that 3rd hatchery. NaNiwa's going to go on the aggressive now. He's going to go to the other side of the map, but we have a lot of Zerglings on the way out now. He finds the probe, he finds the pylon. That's going to be easily dealt with. And now NaNiwa is left out in the open. Can Zealots alone do this with some Mothership Core support? 21 probes to 34 workers. He needs to be doing some damage.
Yeah, Serral is so good. Cannot believe it. I didn't think he was going to be playing this well here against a very experienced NaNiwa. Every single decision he makes is basically pretty close to perfection here. You know, baited with the first 2 links, blocked the entrance of that base of NaNiwa, got in with the links, did exactly enough damage, didn't sacrifice them uselessly, and now he's getting just enough units to try and defend this.
Well, if NaNiwa was able to pick off this hatchery, the game could easily start to turn around. Here we have a first-person view of Serral, who's attempting the defense against NaNiwa. And he has a lot of Zerglings out. Queen's doing excellent in this position too, but the Zealots are starting to win through.
Yeah, but Serral should be able to get enough links with 12 more on the way. Those Queens going to be uncontested on creep. They can kite endlessly as well.
4 more Zealots warped in.
NaNiwa's not even making probes right now. He's cut probe production He's doing the stand version of the 4-gate where you only can boost out the gateways and you get as many units out as possible.
6 roaches are coming into play, though.
Yeah, this is really, really bad for NaNiwa right now.
All right, another sentry, 3 zealots, and he starts probe production up again, but he's going to try one more as he moves forward.
25 probes to 34 drones right now, Apollo. So NaNiwa has to do damage, and I don't think he's going to be able to achieve that, even though he has a lot of zealots and a few sentries. More and more roaches are really going to help Serral in defending this comfortably.
All right, well, we are going to have a fight. Roaches come into play here, and NaNiwa now addressing the situation. How is he going to do this? He has a recall available in a little bit. 2 force fields trapped, 4 roaches. Good start here, but the 16-year-old is going to wrap his lings around, and NaNiwa escapes. He recalls, he's gone. Adios, amigo. Back to the natural.
That forward overload, man.
But it is 31 probes to 41 workers with 3 hatcheries, lava injects all around, and a lot more drones going to be on the way.
Yeah, Serral immediately starting more and more drones. The creep spread is going to be ridiculous and impossible to deny here for NaNiwa to be denied. So I really like Serral's position. I mean, at this point, all NaNiwa can do is try and come back with either some very aggressive play or some very greedy one, I feel. And since he's getting a robo and a forge and quite a few probes right now, I feel like this might be a 3rd base.
Yeah.
And basically him hoping that Serral will do a few bad attacks here and there. In which case there is still a possibility NaNiwa could win. But other than that, as long as Serral keeps on playing as solid as he's been, it's going to be so difficult for NaNiwa to come back in this game.
Well, NaNiwa trying to move out to hopefully take his 3rd, but Serral runs around and the door is open, but he doesn't take it. Kills the probe instead. 3 stalkers get warped in to hopefully take this. He's got enough force field now to actually wrap around, and he does get 3, 1, 2 roaches. And now the 3rd base is open for takings, but the Spire is the tech choice from Serral.
Apollo.
Hello.
Serral just forced a lot of force fields. There is not going to be any hallucination ready anytime soon. I thought that he was overextending and that was a bad attack. But look what he's done. He's denied any scout here from NaNiwa. NaNiwa finally has an observer, but that he's going to scout this Spire supposedly fairly late, unless he kind of goes toward it immediately, which right now he's headed into the... I guess, you know, he will barely miss it. Look at where that observer's rallied. This is going to work out quite nicely here for Serral. When you play a Protoss who's making Immortals and you're about to get Midas, you're pretty happy. No sight of any Twilight or Blink here out of NaNiwa. No Stargates. He has, how many? 5 Stalkers without Blink, which is one of the saddest scenarios that can happen to you when you play Protoss. It's not looking good, Apollo, for NaNiwa at all.
My Insanity have found themselves a superstar here in Serral. And at the moment, he's in looking fantastic shape. Spire's done. Not too much resources in the bank for this, but a good 8 Mutalisks could come from this if he stops his rope production.
You know, it's funny how I said Serral plays like life without the early aggression. This game is played absolutely like life. Lynx got in, did damage behind this. You know, it's a beautiful Muta transition, but he's not even putting all of his eggs in the same basket. He went for Tunneling Klaus, he went for Hydra Den, he's still getting upgrades for his ground units, he's getting Groove Spines. Serral is just ridiculous right now.
Twilight Council is done. It will stop +2 shortly, I'm sure, at least allow NaNiwa to stop +2, but the robotic speed's on its way. Not that useful. Mutalisks have been spotted.
NaNiwa's observer is spotting the Hydra Den in the main. So surely he's not suspecting, okay, I guess.
He saw them pop from the eggs inside the main base. So Stargates have begun, 2 inside the main. Blink is on its way too, and Stalker's been warped in.
If NaNiwa can hold on here, I'll be very impressed. I really see those Mutas start up to deal damage, and with the economy of Serral being untouched, being left untouched, basically the entire game, I just don't see how NaNiwa is going to win this.
All right, well, Mutalisks come around and dealing damage to probes already. 5 have gone down. 180 supply to 114. 6 Hydralisks on the way, and more being added on.
The only Protoss I've seen win in this situation was Zest, and I really feel like it was because his Zerg opponent, I think, was Sue, kind of through.
Phoenix is on the way, and they have been spotted now by this Mutalisk. But remember, there's only 8 or 9 of them. It's not a huge commitment to air. Well, NaNiwa is committing heavily to this. He charges straight for the Mothership core. It will go down in sacrifice of a Mutalisk or 2, as we even have Stalkers in the right position too, sniping one straight from the skies. But the next part of this attack is just waiting. You can start to see on the minimap now the flood of Zerg making its way through the middle of the map as NaNiwa starts to deal with the mules. But this is not the threat. This Roach Hydra Force is.
Yeah. Hype started before the Robobay did, Apollo, and all of a sudden, Serral sacked all of his mutas, and NaNiwa was pumping out Phoenixes against mass Hydralisks.
Yeah.
Again, the transition, managing the transitions beautifully, anticipating every single move of NaNiwa before he even makes the decision.
Here we
himself.
go. Serral comes up the high ground here. NaNiwa had no idea this army was here, and how well is he going to be able to defend it? Because I'm not sure he can. This is a high amount of Zerg units, and Serral is looking for this first place. The Zealots get absolutely annihilated, and NaNiwa has almost nothing left over. Once these force fields go down, the Hydralisks will go in as Hydralisk speed completes, and Serral, absolute perfection when it comes to his games today against Soppy earlier on, and these two games against NaNiwa as well. Who else should he beat to go through in first place? It is NaNiwa. GG. Serral takes this series and moves through in first place in dominant fashion. Excellent from the youngster.
Very impressive games, I have to say. I could see this player go very, very far in this season's WCS after games like this. Very well conducted from start to finish. Every single transition, anticipating just about everything that he was going to do, really. Starting with, being out of position with the Zealot, trying to re-wall and blocking that, and then later on, all the transitions, the Phoenixes. He forced NaNiwa into making Phoenixes and then had mass Hydralisks. This was just ideal. Attacks at the perfect timing and then finishes it.
This guy, absolutely unbelievable today. 4-0 his group, 2-0 versus Soppy, 2-0 versus NaNiwa. And if you weren't considering Serral to be a contender to do very well amongst the Polts, amongst the Snoots and Bunnies, well, I think you may have a new favourite Zerg player to cheer for. Excellent performances here from the 16-year-old player from Finland. On the big time as well. This is the biggest stage he's played on. He played in WCS last season in 2014, but the round of 32 online, little exposure, wasn't able to get through the group, but today was his day.
I think a lot of people didn't really know what to think of Serral from just his win against Harstem, because it's an online match.
Yeah.
And a lot of things could have happened. Harstem was traveling for some time as well, so maybe he had been underperforming. But now, having seen that, Serral is just a beast. Like, it's clear for everybody now, for me as well.
Yeah,
it's just
3-0 versus Harstem, 2-0 versus Soppy, 2-0 versus NaNiwa. In total, undefeated so far this season in WCS. And that winner is with Red Eye.
Thank you very much, Apollo. Yes, with Serral. I don't know whether you caught that or not, but Apollo said 3-0, 2-0, 2-0. That's your record in WCS. That's pretty good.
Yeah, I guess so.
Not bad, not bad. Could have been a little better, I suppose. I don't know where to start, really. You've been fantastic today. What do you attribute it to? Is it practice? Is it scouting out your opposition? What do you think is the key to your success today?
I guess it's just the practice. I really haven't scouted too much my opponents, but of course I play a lot of them, and I didn't play him actually, so
good thing you didn't play him.
No need to say anything.
Yeah. I mean, you play a lot of ladder games. We've seen you playing lots of ladder, and some of the top pros have been telling us that you're pretty scary to play against on the ladder. So you're making a name for yourself on the ladder. We know you've been to a lot of Dream Hacks and lots of other tournaments before, but why now? Is it something clicked for you? Have you found something that's just made you so much better than maybe last year?
I don't know. I just make those roaches and hydras, and they work.
It's good. I like that. What do you got for us, James?
So you're saying that you're not scouting too much and stuff like that, but a lot of the builds that we've seen today and your reactions are very reactionary. Were you expecting NaNiwa in game number 1 to go for the triple Stargate play? Because that's a build where he uses a lot of Void Rays, and it's something that he did a long time ago, but has kind of brought it back into here. And personally, I wasn't expecting it.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting the build because it's so old, but of course it can work still. But just when I saw the 3 Stargate, it was kind of obvious. It doesn't matter who plays, that it's that much Void Ray
Yeah.
style.
I mean, your answer was very good to it, right?
Yeah.
A lot of queens, a lot of hydralisks. And the funny thing is that sometimes if you only go for hydralisks in that situation, it can be difficult because force fields are going to catch you off guard. But Serral reacts really well, getting a load of queens there to actually push forward. So it's really well played.
In terms of how far you can go, do you even think about how far you can go in WCS, or you just take one game at a time?
No, I don't really want to think about it too much. Just playing here.
Just play each game as it comes.
Yeah.
So, round of 16, do you fancy coming back to Europe and playing some more games?
Yeah.
Is that all right? Yeah? All right. That's
It's
good.
already kind of in Europe,
Yeah,
but yeah.
It's kind of, well, he's in Europe, I know, but, you know, come back for the finals. It'd be fun to have you there.
Yeah.
All right, good.
I think so too.
Okay. Nice one. Serral, ladies and gentlemen, winner of his group, no less. And with a perfect score of 4-0, no less as well. 7-0 now in WCS, including Challenger as well. He is the first player through to the round of 16 from Group F. And we'll find out after the break who will join him in the round of 16 grand finals.